She began serving the people of her country after joining the Catholic Order of the Sacred Heart of Jesus in 1976. She has served as the director of St. Monica's since 2001. St. Monica's Center helps women who were held captive by Joseph Kony and the Lord's Resistance Army. She has helped over 2,000 young women by giving them a way to support themselves through job training, tailoring, catering, and other skills. Currently, approximately 250 girls and 250 children live at St. Monica's. And Sister also oversees a second school in Atiak, Uganda. Please help me welcome Sister Rosemary Nyirumbe.
He can get away with the second name. He pronounced it very well, Atiak. But the first one, I give you maybe a D. I come from Paida. It's called Paida. What a pleasure for me to be here today. I feel I'm at home. And I was just reflecting on the common say that everybody says that a prophet is not accepted in his home. And I like that because they say in his home. So that prophet is a man, it's not me, I'm not a prophet. I'm happy about that one. But I think, for me, the Catholic Church is my home. The Catholic Church is our home. And I just want to take this moment to really thank Maria Scapolanda sincerely for bringing me to meet my brothers and sisters in the Catholic Church. It's not the first time she's done it, and I'm very glad she continues still to introduce me. And I think whenever people meet me or they ask me questions, they say, what are you going to talk about? I always say, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. Because I'm not going to talk about my life. You may say, I'm coming to talk about my life. It's not exciting. You have seen books there with a picture of the face of a nun. It's really not something exciting. Not many people want to see even the face of a nun at the back of a book. And you will rarely see that. So I said, well, actually, the story in the book, don't be deceived just by seeing the face of the nun and you're put off, you don't want it, because a lot of people even have bad history about nuns. They always say something which is not very pleasing, which a nun did, maybe with good intention, especially in schools. I think many of you know those stories. But I always tell people, do not be put away. Read those books. Find what is in the book. You may not hear much about Sister Rosemary, and if you hear about Sister Rosemary, it is only to let you understand the story of humanity. A painful story which we can all forget. If we are not careful, we shall think this is something which happens everywhere, especially in Africa. And I always tell people, when you hear a painful story which happened maybe somewhere, find out the trend, where it started and how it has gone and how far it has gone. When I heard I was coming to meet these Catholic professionals, this group of people, I asked myself, that is quite intimidating just to hear that. But it's not intimidating for me to hear the first word, Catholic. That is the universality part of it. The professional part there is a bit intimidating, but I don't want it also to block me. I want it to be part of the journey we are all taking together. As Catholic professionals, I think that even opens for you a wider door to listen to the problem of the world, to listen to what is going on beyond your confine. My life, my vocation has been a long journey of faith. And when you start a journey of faith, one of the things which you don't want to forget is that you get discouraged very easily. You can give up, you can lose the path, and sometimes you find you're helpless. And by the way, I want to remind you that tomorrow, Michael, who is our chancellor, is taking a journey to Uganda, and it is a journey of faith. And I know already he has some doubts. Michael, you will tell us if you don't have it. Michael is already asking himself, why am I even doing that? And yet within me, I'm very happy that Michael, the chancellor, is taking lost students to Uganda. I'm very excited. But he knows that he's challenging his faith, and he's already fearing. He has that great discouragement which he can share with someone very close to him. In my life, I got to that point where joining the Sisters of the Sacred Heart at a very early age, at the age of 15, I didn't even know exactly maybe what I was going to do. But one thing which I realized is that God cannot make a mistake in calling any one of us. He calls you from where you are. And I realized God called me actually because I was a babysitter of my nieces and nephews. He called me for that. And the reason why I say he called me for that is that I got attracted to a congregation which is not famous. The Sisters of the Sacred Heart are not even known about. People don't hear much about them. This is the congregation which was founded in South Sudan, in Juba, in 1954. And in that same year, there started conflicts, civil conflicts. And in 1964, the missionaries were all expelled from South Sudan, and most of them were listed in the Black Book. The bishop who founded our congregation was listed among the people in the Black Book. That means you are not supposed to return to South Sudan again. He fled to Uganda, and immediately the congregation just started, followed him. They all came to Uganda as refugees. And something very painful, which brought them to Uganda, became a blessing for some girls like me in Uganda who heard about them. And the reason why, I started with where God calls you from is because the only thing which attracted me about these sisters was that they were caring for children, they were caring for orphans, and they traveled with these orphans to Uganda as refugees. And I thought, I think I can go and take care of children. I didn't really say I'm going to become a nun. I wanted to go and take care of children. To my great surprise, of course, when I joined the convent at that early age, what discouraged me already on my first journey was the question that I had to get up very early morning. The nuns were getting up at 5:30. I was only 15. You ring the big bell and I have to join you. I asked myself, how long am I going to do this in my life? I love sleeping and I have to be waking up. Oh my God. That was my first journey of discouragement. I said, no, I can't do this. Then the Mother Superior really punished me because of not waking up at the right time, an Italian nun. And she told me, say, Rosemary, you never get up at the right time, so we are punishing you. Walk to the parish, a bigger church where everybody can see you are a lazy little girl who cannot wake up at the right time. I wanted to say, thank you for giving me extra time to sleep. Actually, it was extra time because I would be able to go by 7 when they were all in the chapel. I passed the chapel and I would go up. That was great for me. So that was the beginning of a discouragement of a child. But then that vocation remained. I kept on thinking, what is my journey? Where am I going? I am called like any other girl, any other woman to this difficult congregation of sisters who are refugees. I began to find my own call within the call. I realized that God called all of us, but for every one of us, He gave a mission. And my mission was different. My mission was to think deeply how I can be closer to vulnerable children and vulnerable women. And I still didn't know exactly how that was going to be. But fate put it that everything I did has never been at any peaceful time in northern Uganda. I have been all my life in all the conflicts, the different conflicts in northern Uganda. I remained there to the point that I said, I think this is where my call is. I have to be in this situation. The last blow for me was when I completed my first year of the university, the Mother Superior told me, the first degree, the Mother Superior told me, we are sending you to St. Monica. And I asked, what am I going to do there? This is a school which is just teaching girls how to sew clothes. It's a vocational skills training. I have never gone to that. I've never done it myself. And you're sending me there. She said, yes, that's where we are sending you. And I told myself, I said, okay, this is again another discouragement which may come for me, but I will take up this challenge. And I answered, I said, I will go. Even if it means I have to make life on top of water, I will go. And they knew the situation was very bad, and they were sending me in that bad situation. I had already experienced that situation. They were sending me back in it. I took it up and I went. It was not until I found the situation as worse than what I expected. To find every day 500 children or more running away from their homes, looking for a place where they could stay safe at night from the rebels who are coming to abduct them. Rebels removing these children in front of their parents. Parents were helpless. They would force these children sometimes to kill their own parents, to kill their own siblings. And they take these children with them, intimidating them. If they take 3 children in one family, they would force one, say, kill your brother. I moved with one girl who was forced to kill her own sister. And she always told me, sister, I cannot forgive myself. Because whenever I think of my sister I murdered with my hand, I feel I killed myself and I can't forgive myself for that. It took me a long journey to walk with this woman to understand her. And looking at these children who were escaping from the rebels, coming to us, gave me a picture that there were a lot of women and children out there who needed safety. So the school I was sent to run as a school, I decided to turn it as a home, where we could welcome these children, where we could welcome women who are escaping from these rebels. It was just a matter of opening our arms to say, you can come and be with us. It was in compassion and in love. We have to show them that we are there for them. We were only 3 sisters. Life was a bit very heavy, you could not imagine, but I had still to stand up as a leader of the community, challenge myself and say, I have to stand up. Even if the rebels come at the door, I must be able to meet that rebel and speak kindly to that rebel. And everything I asked for happened. I've met the rebels face to face. I talked to the rebel kindly. When the rebel wanted to come to pick one girl, I said, no. Why do you want to collect this girl? He told me this girl was my wife. I said, no. Let us be clear. Did you marry her according to our tradition? He said, no, but I was living with us. Right. She was your sex slave. You are not taking her. And I was actually scared later. At the moment when I faced that man, I was not scared. I was ready. And I knew anything could have happened. The guy was holding a gun. I was helpless. In the office, there was no way I could run. But I had to stand up and say no. I managed to send him out, but kindly. I was not rough to him because I knew at that point I was helpless. in front of a man with a gun. And most of these children who were coming to us knew they were coming not exactly to study, they were coming for a kind of protection. They're coming to people who can accept them, people who would not call them, who would not define them by their past, people who would not remind them that they were killers, they were murderers, people who would not remind them that they were raped, they had children. I told them, you come with the children you got from these rebels. Children you got out of rape. Children you are forced to get. And accepting all this, I knew I was making myself enter into another challenge. Helplessly, without knowing what I would do with the children, I said, leave the children under trees. We get other people with experience to take care of the children, and you go and take some courses, some skills training to mend your brokenness. That is where we got the title of Sowing Hope. We're trying to sow the broken pieces of these young women. We are trying to put it back, not with anything, but with a needle, which I can tell you that we had to use the analogy of saying, if you can mend broken pieces of clothes, if you can mend purses from pop tabs, I left one there, from this trash which people throw away, you can mend your brokenness. You can be beautiful again. I had to challenge myself to say, I must give the right word to these girls to say their future can be rebuilt. Sometimes people ask me when I go to speak, they say, Sister, do you preach to these children? Do you talk to them about God? I always answered, you know what? I don't actually preach. I would ask priests to come and preach for them. I would not preach for them. But my life is preaching to them. The life of my sisters is preaching to them. These girls are not accepted by the society. These girls are named by the society that they're rebels. These girls are called that they have children with the identity of the rebel leader. And they're scared of being out there. But they are living with us. They're living with the sisters. I had to convince my own superiors. I said, sisters, this is my call. It is our call. We have to live as a congregation committed to supporting the needy. We came as refugees from South Sudan. We shall never move away from refugees. We came because of conflicts. We shall never move away from conflict. Let us make the pain of humanity become something which is our apostolate. It took so long for my superiors to understand me. And actually, if you ask me, I was posted in Gulu in that school in 2002. And up to now, I'm there. You will wonder, am I punished? I'm sure you'll ask, is Sister Rosemary punished? Those who know religious life and our community life, we are supposed to stay maximum of 6 years in one community. I've been there from that time up to now. I have decided not to ask the superiors to take me away. If they take me away, I will go. If they don't take me away, it means God wants me to be there. And the reason why I always say I will not ask them is because I found that I must be able to give courage to other sisters. I must be able to tell them, let us stand up together. I have learned to live my call within my community. The service we render to these vulnerable people has helped us to define our own vocation with the poor, with the needy. It has helped us to know that we are there to give them a voice. And the reason why I will not ask my superiors until they move me by force, which I hope not. I want to move to the next level. After what we are doing, what we started doing from 2001 up to now, what next? What can we do to transform the life of these women in order for them to transform the society? Up to today, these women are not respected very much. They live with fear. They are victims. They are scared. They know that someone will identify them, that this girl was one of those who attacked our village. This woman was one of the rebels who was forced to kill my relatives. The fear these girls live through is still today. The pain these women are going through is still present now. The wounds these women have has been healed, but the scar will never go away. Maybe the only thing I know, medical doctors, you may be among us here, you have never succeeded to heal is the scar. Think of that physical scar and then think of the inner scar a person has. That is where we are called to live, to walk, to journey together, to heal the wound, to heal that scar. That scar is going to be there, but we can tell them that that scar will not be painful because we are there. Because we are understanding your situation and we're ready to minister to you. And I'm very happy that many times I get this opportunity to bring the voice of these women. Much as I would love them to be able to speak for themselves, that's why I ask myself, what next? Some of you maybe have heard why I'm here in Oklahoma these days. I'm doing my PhD in OU. It's just crazy. That PhD thing is crazy. I said, why did I even get myself there? There's another discouragement coming in my faith. Why did I get myself in that PhD? And one time I went to pray in St. Thomas More. A group of students came to ask me, and one said, why are you studying? And I said, oh, I expect you to ask me what I am studying, not why I'm studying. I am studying because I want to move to the next level, to answer that, what next? The reason why I want to challenge myself is because much as we see we have done, we have journeyed, we have moved with these women, we have tried to help them to mend their brokenness, they are still considered as people who are ignorant, people who cannot access justice because they cannot read and write. You would be surprised to know at this present age, after all the campaign or the Millennium Development Goals, that there are still people who cannot read and write. So, if these women cannot read and write, is there no way we can help them to bring their voice out? We can teach them to read and write. In Uganda, everyone speaks English, especially in common places, in places of work. These women are left aside. They are alienated. But can't we validate their knowledge? Can't we bring their voice to this bigger table, even here? We can. And that is why I decided to challenge myself to find out exactly what can be done. These days, I am so much taken up with the pedagogy of the oppressed. I've never been able to think, even until later would come upon Paulo Freire, he talked about pedagogy of oppressed and so forth. Oh, so I've been living with the oppressed. So I have been one of the oppressed. But I can question that now. And I can let these women question the system that is oppressing them now. I need to prepare myself. I need to help them. And there are so many programs we are developing for these women and their children to open their eyes in their society. I want these women to be able to become transformers of their society. I want these women to be able to live a life of dignity. I want these women to be able to point to a future for their children, a better future. And this cannot be done only by our sisters of the Sacred Heart. I've already told you, we are not very much known. People don't know us much. From the time I'm telling you about us, you have to know there are a lot of people down there in northern Uganda who are committed to doing this kind of work, to supporting these women, supporting these children. But they all need you to be part of it. They need you to be the voice. They need you to take up a journey. Follow Michael. Get discouraged together with him. But take that journey. I even actually challenged the Archbishop. It's not the first time I've challenged him to come to Uganda. Today I reminded him and I told him, as long as I am here, I meet you, I will remind you. I actually took a journey like 3 weeks ago to go introduce myself again to him. I thought he forgot me. I say, I'm here in your Archdiocese, but I have a scheme. I want to get him there. If I get him there, the flock will follow. There are many of you I've met before. There are many I've not met. I'm meeting for the first time, and I hope it is not going to be the last time that I meet. I want you to know I am in this family, and I love this family. Although sometimes it's very tight to know where we belong. It's very difficult. The biggest organization in the world is the Catholic Church. And it can be really difficult even to know who we are and what we do and what we aspire to do. But we can do a lot if we come together. And you don't need everybody in Oklahoma to come together. You need groups like this to come together, and then you reach out in a very powerful way. I want to thank you once again. Someone asked me if I'm going to talk for 5 hours, and I said, maybe more, but I'm stopping here.